Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the PivotBoss pre-market video for Friday, July 31st, 2020. I am Frank Ochoa, aka PivotBoss. Happy Friday, everyone. This is the last trading day of the week and of the month, and we flip the page to August next month, where the first trading day of the month will be August 3rd, and we'll have our new pivot range, new pivots for the month, and we'll also have that seasonality that comes into play. I'll let you know about when you can access the monthly market outlook here pretty soon. All right, let's take a look here at the ES. One thing we were looking at in the previous session was for signs of a failure below that would leave behind a pretty good rejection back up toward the end of the day. We kept talking about the current day's midpoint and also the previous session's midpoint, how if price can overcome those levels, we could see a very strong finish that could catapult this thing much higher. It's basically this type of day here, or perhaps this type of day there, where price pushes down below and then finishes strong, which ultimately catapults things higher. And so right now we have bullish outside day in the previous session. Low below the previous low, close above the previous high. Higher than average range for the day as well. You see a bullish signal here, and it's all happening right in the PIMA trigger zone again, which we've been talking about. Until proven otherwise, this market remains bullish, and we continue to watch certain areas for failure, but this market continues to push higher. So right now, again, we have a pullback that's come down below 32.50 today, as low as 32.45s. We may see a little bit lower lows, maybe even as low as the previous session's midpoint. The previous session's midpoint is precisely 32.32. So any move as low as 32.32, 32.40 could provide an opportunity for a bounce higher over the coming days. This could be the absorption day here. But again, as long as price remains above 32.32 on a closing basis, we have a shot to squeeze higher over the next 1 to 5 days. One of the things we were looking for was for a move of about 85 to 100 points. And from the pivot low here of 31.95s, 100 points or so will get you to about 3,300, right? 32.95. That's not too far off right there on a very quick basis here. And again, with the new month coming up ahead, any pullback into the pivot range for the month could still be a buying opportunity for a continuation higher. So right now, looking at further strength ahead unless price fails to hold 32.32 on a closing basis. All right, let's take a look now at the NQ. The NQ had a very solid finish as well in the previous session. You can see a failed low right here below 2-day lows, bouncing off the 10,500 level, 10,500 becoming a very important support area. Yesterday in the pre-market video, I mentioned a pullback to 10,520 could provide a bounce buying opportunity for a move higher, and that essentially was the low the rest of the day. 10,520s. It bounced off of that several times, rallied. You can see right here the midpoint is at the previous session's high price as it got a stop run day through that level and closed strong after earnings reports from Facebook and Amazon, Apple, and others. Now what you see right here again is a bullish outside day that has occurred inside that PIMA trigger zone, right? So we pulled back and now we're pushing higher. We've talked about the rejection at the lows and the trading range that has developed as well. So the ES is still headed higher toward the 11K to 11,100 level, at which point we could see another return right back down, or we could see a continuation higher. We've basically gone sideways for a couple of rotations here. That the next rotation higher takes us into 11,723s very simply based off this key range. That's your 50% extension. 11,723 could be the next upside target, and for that to occur we really need to see price remain above the 10,700 level, right? We broke through that level right there. Remaining above that level right now, above 10,700, opens up 11,700 ahead. So right now this is looking really solid. Small range day at the moment with just 34% of ADR. But again, with the pivot range coming into play next week, we could be looking at a pullback followed by a continuation higher over the following week. So right now looking very strong until proven otherwise. Failure to hold 10,700 on a closing basis would certainly prove otherwise in the near term. All right, let's take a look now at crude oil. Now you see with crude oil we had a significant shakeout leg in the previous session. This was a pretty high range day here. You can see that we hadn't had many days of that magnitude here lately, but this was certainly one of them. If I bring this back out a little bit and just show yesterday's range right there, clearly outsized compared to average. Again, the last time we saw something of that magnitude was late June. That was this big down day. We saw something in mid-June. That was this big down day. And then over here we saw several big days of that magnitude there back to back. So that was a huge outlier day. What tends to happen after you see a big day like that, you tend to see a rebound, right? Big day down and a rebound. Big day down and a rebound. And we've already kind of started to see that rebound take place in the previous session. That was a pretty strong turnaround from 38.72s. Although there was a good shot to take out that 38.54, price turned around pretty sharply off those lows. Started to make support off of 39.50, and now that's where we are. We're inside day in a very narrow day right now. Crude oil at 46% of ADR. Inside day holding the $40 level, which is current support for the day. But price could theoretically drop as deep as the 39.50 level and still be short-term bullish. Again, right now with a big day down like this, if price can hold 40 or the 39.5 level, we may see a short-term rotation back up toward 41.11s. A failure to get back above 40.48 would suggest more downside, and that's when we start heading back down again. So we've been working our way off of this key range here. We've already hit the downside targets in the previous session, right? We had this key range. A failure here led to a move to the middle, then to the bottom. The break led to both downside targets. Now here we are again trading with the high right at the key range low, and this low right above the 50%. Again, we're either headed back to 41.14 and 41.73, or we're building out here for another tumble back down. So at the moment right here, based off of the big high range day down, the rubber band trade would take us right back up. So looking for price to hold here, unless it just cannot hold 39.50 overall. That opens up the downside. Okay, let's take a look now at gold futures. This one has reached 2,000. It has reached 2005.4 in pre-market trading. That was a pretty significant stab up to that level in the overnight chart around 2 in the morning. That was pretty significant. And what we've been looking for is some sort of top that would suggest that we could finally see a pullback that could give us an impulse move of some range. And right now we have a pretty strong move. That's the impulse rally right now. We don't have a strong definitive low, but we have a strong impulse rally here. If we get a strong sell-off, that could give us a good low and a bounce back to the mid, and now we have ourselves a key range to work off of. And so the profile is building out here, suggests that we could find ourselves an LVN between 1830 and 1850. So if we do find a strong top here pretty soon, again, this is the last trading day of the month. Look at the current month's high, current month's close are right at that level. Perhaps Monday we see a big force through it and a rejection of it. That could lead us right back to the 1885s, maybe a little bit lower, and then we bounce and get ourselves a key range. But once we get ourselves a key range, it's going to give us much more definitive targets moving forward. We've already reached our long-term targets of 1957 and the 1831 level after developing that impulse range back in March. Those have now come to fruition. The next key move here, the next impulse move, will give us better targets and better key levels to use moving forward. So right now, watching for signs of a sharp top, although not inclined to sell this right now in the face of this strength until we see some sort of rejection. All right, that is it for now. We'll see how this plays out heading into the rest of the session. Again, good luck, trade well, happy Friday. I'll see you in the trading room. Take care.